Yeah, 1,000%. Happy to be at home, and think we've played well over the last 15 games, by and large, and a lot at stake, and playing, important baseball. The last weekend of the season is a good thing. That's the expectation here. It's the expectation of me. Um, but in spite of the difficulty, um, these games matter, and just looking forward to best effort at home, like last weekend, playing a team that's in a very similar situation. And so, um, looking forward to pitching well, um, defending well, taking good at bats, playing with a ton of energy. I can validate that this is really important to our players, and we didn't win, but I think the effort last weekend reflected that.
Yeah, the results haven't been there, but you guys have managed to keep this team engaged and active, and, fighting. I guess even in the middle of setbacks, in the middle of the game, they're able to respond and
Yeah,
find a way. Like that is going to get overlooked with the result.
100%.
But
Yeah.
how important is that to you guys? And I guess kind of setting the tone and where this thing still needs to go.
Yeah, I think it's coaching. I mean, what I mean by that, I think it's everything. Like, anybody can coach when you're top five in the country and rolling and, all of that and high-fiving and all that. It's, when it's not easy, that's where you provide the most value, for the players. And, we made a determination halfway through league that we were going to maintain being positive with this team. Like, that's what they needed. They didn't need me to tell them how horrible we were or how unacceptable this is, and they've continued to give good effort. I think we've won 10 of 14 or 15, and lost some tough ones. Like I said, Friday that was difficult. There's nothing we can do about it now, and in spite of all that, we still have a chance because we didn't lose very much outside of league. Um, it's looking at the field. Like, I think we have 13 wins against teams that are projected to be in the field. Um, Third most non-conference wins, won a premier tournament. Um, I've played, when you throw the conference schedule in, I've obviously played a good schedule. And so here we are. Do I want to be 10 and 17 in the SEC? No. But we still have a chance. And so we'll prepare. We'll play with great, focus, energy, and effort, and give it everything we can. And, hopefully put ourselves in the best position, 10 days from now to have a chance.
Were there challenges this season that maybe past seasons you didn't have, or things just being every year is different for you? You've been in a lot of seasons, but this season, anything?
I would say, really pride myself on us winning close games, and I mean, we've had some that we just have not finished out. I mean that's amazing. Like, 2 outs, 2 strikes, nobody on base, best reliever in the league on the mound, and we lost. Like, man, I would have taken that. I mean, if you said, hey, let's just start the game with 1 pitch to go, like, I would take that 1,000 times out of 100. You know what I mean? And we lost. The one Florida game comes to mind. And so just having a lot of those stacked up like that, there's some real psychological warfare with the players to help get them past it. And I think we have gotten past that. I don't think there was anything with the mindset last weekend that I would change, in terms of how they competed in the games. Probably that's the first thing that comes to mind, Ron, is the number of difficult losses in the middle of the series where you're a pitch away from winning the Florida series, a pitch away from winning the Alabama series, a pitch away from winning the Vanderbilts. Like, I don't know that I've ever kind of had all of those at one time before. That would probably be the thing I would say.
And psychologically, how do you handle that with players when you're in trouble?
Positivity, and it's not what anybody wants to hear, but it's what they need and what they needed at the time, and it's allowed us to still be playing important baseball this weekend, and it's because they've had the courage to stick with it, during a difficult stretch, and I commend them for that. We want to play better. We need to play better, but they deserve the credit for that. And again, these games are very meaningful. This weekend, and it's a double-edged sword of playing in our league. Our league is the best by far, not close, and there's a lot of really good teams, that can win in the postseason, as we've seen the past couple years, particularly. That when you go through the struggles and you can come out the other side of them, you still have a chance. And so it should be a good weekend here.
How's the health and availability of your team heading into this weekend?
I don't have anything that I don't feel good about, you know what I mean, as far as where anybody is at this point in time. So I think it's good.
I guess having the Thursday, Friday, Saturday series before the tournament next week, just what does that, do for, pitching and just kind of the benefits?
Well, we're in every game as a playoff game mode still. I mean, it's been that way for 5 weeks. And I think the response of the team to that has been very good over the back half of the SEC schedule. Obviously, had we won the Alabama series, had won the pitch, I should say, you'd have 4 series wins in a row. So I don't think this is anything new. I think, Ole Miss is playing well. Obviously a great weekend last weekend against Texas A&M. But I think they're in a good spot, to compete. And like I said, they care, and it's about winning, no question about it. But these guys are invested and have stuck with it, and it's definitely important to them.
When you look at the Game 3 pitching from Sunday, it really felt like the pitchers
Did a great job.
to keep you in that
They did a great job. Yeah, I mean, Hess is going to be a top 50 pick, and he's kind of the last 2 weekends against us and Mississippi State kind of put together that talent finally. I mean, and that happens in our league, and you could see it watching on video. Like, you look at the stats, they tell you one thing. You look at the video, it tells you something completely different. And he held us down. He got off the field a couple times when we had runners on base, and we gave ourselves a chance there at the end, and that was because the pitchers did a good job. Want to look forward, don't really want to look back, but I mean, there was one pitch in that 3-run inning that they would have only had 1 run on the board, had it gone a different way. And that's kind of how this thing goes, and the margin for error is really, really small. And that's it won't be any different this weekend. The team that deserves to win will win.
Yeah, tell me about Ole Miss. They're obviously playing
Yeah, super talented. They're super talented. I don't think anybody did more in the portal from a position player standpoint. Fisher is a really good player. I think he has 20 home runs. Has really been hot lately. I always have liked Ethan Groff. Like, he was really a good player at Tulane. They have talent. They have a lot of talent. They've pitched well last weekend. They have 3 kind of unique guys, which I think that's a good thing. Like, when you're building a pitching staff, it's different looks, and they have a lot to play for. I mean, it's very reminiscent of last weekend, of there's a lot on the line for us. There's a lot on the line for them. There was a lot on the line for Alabama. So, kind of interesting that this is how it's kind of going.
How odd do you think it is, Jay, that the last 3 national champions all in the SEC struggled the next year? Coincidentally, maybe that was with the NIL and that's with the portal sport. Is it the league, or how odd is it?
Really good question. Now having almost a full season under our belt as the champs, I think it's the only sport, and I think it's the only league that this would rear its head like that. And I say that in the nature of baseball is different. I think baseball in the SEC is different. I think it's the best, most complete, is what I would say, most complete conference in any sport in the entire country, in terms of all the best players are here right now. All the programs are pouring a lot of resources into baseball. So I think it's a unique challenge. I think on the front end, what I would say to that, Glenn, is to win a national championship nowadays, you have to have future major league players. We already got a guy that's in the major leagues. It was a pretty important part of that championship. Dylan, obviously, as well. and then you have to have old players that really know what they're doing. You have to have that in place to win a national championship. Well, then you're going to lose a lot of those guys. And we set an SEC record for number of drafted players last year. So you're going to be playing almost with a new team. It would be a super exception if a team won the national title in baseball with freshmen and sophomores. So I think you're kind of playing with a different team, if that makes sense. So that's the first part. I have no problem with the effort level of our team. Like their complacency has not been a part of, our difficulty and our struggles. And, I mean, we're sitting here still with an opportunity on the last weekend, and nothing's going to be guaranteed to us. And so I think, we've persevered through a difficult stretch, not playing great, playing good opponents, and we still have a chance. So in one way I would say we haven't been as good as we want to be, for sure, but we're still in it. And I would say we've been a little bit different in that regard, because I don't remember that being the case the last couple of years with the previous two teams. Now the SEC, I think, is the story. Like in the portal, it would be the thing that I would say is the story. Is like, I mean, we started 3 freshmen in a game against the number 1 team in the country 2 weeks ago, and I don't think anybody has 3 freshmen on the field at any point, during the season. Like, it's really hard to do that now, because everybody's old, because of the portal, the Major League Draft going from 40 rounds to 20 rounds, just the maturity, age, experience. Like, I was watching a team on TV that we have not played, and I was like, man, those guys look like 35-year-old, 12-year Major League players. So I think it's a credit to the SEC. I think it's a credit to the modern-day SEC. I think it's a credit, not a credit, but a byproduct of the transfer portal and the Major League Draft. And the nature of baseball is just different, is what I would say.
How are you monitoring the weather heading into this weekend? We get hairy on Friday.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm gonna have to tap into those resources, that some of y'all provide. We obviously want to get the games in. The SEC changed a rule where we do have the flexibility to play Sunday if we need to. So that was smart and logical on the league's part to be able to do that. Obviously they moved the series up because of the impact on the tournament, and I mean, provided we're in the tournament, we're playing on Tuesday. So I mean, I would like to play the games as early as we can, as I'm sure every other coach in the league feels the same way.
Yeah, to that end, I know you can't think about Tuesday, but that's what people want to know. Like, hey, if we make the tournament, who are we against? Florida. That's not even a thought.
Not even a thought. Yeah. We need to go all in to win tomorrow, and then go from there. Because the more we win, the longer we're staying in the fight, and that's what it's about right now. And hey, it's in spite of the tough deal, like, makes Friday even more difficult to swallow. Of like, man, that one flips that way, and we're in a better situation. But relative to the weekend, like, we had a good practice yesterday. The energy level, I think, is there. And again, these guys want to do well. The goals were very lofty, coming into the season, and it's not the time to assess like what the adjustments, are things that we could have turned, 5 or 6 weeks ago better earlier. But I feel good about where they're at given the circumstances today in terms of what they'll put into the weekend.
Your thoughts on Skenes' first outing?
I didn't get to see it. I watched Quick Pitch at like midnight that night, and I saw the 7 strikeouts. Just looked like the same, and they were talking to me on the broadcast that day, actually, and I was like, hey, how'd he do? And said pretty good, and I struck out 7 in 4 innings. I was like, man, I miss those 2 strikeouts every inning, and I meant this when I said this last year. Every day that dude took the mound, like, you knew you were living the best days of your life right there. that don't come along ever. I've seen it twice in my entire life, with him and Steven Strasburg.
He's already gotten 9 of the fastest pitches thrown all season in one game.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I think I could be way off on this. I think in the World Series start, didn't he hit 100 like 41 times last year or something like that? remarkable. And then, he was here the whole off season, and just the attention to detail, the work ethic, the deliberate nature in which he does everything. Like, I mean, it's amazing. Like, he's gonna be able to sustain it because of how he goes about doing everything that he does. And Pirates, they should be smiling right now.
What did y'all do last year as a staff to kind of maintain him? Because I'm thinking, like, when he started throwing 100 all the time, were you ever, Jesus, we got to be careful?
Yeah, I think just being smart as we were going, his nature of the strength piece, like, you felt like he was best positioned to hold it, and the conditioning, you felt like he was best positioned to hold it better than, any pitcher that I've had. I think anytime we could take an opportunity to protect him, I tried to do that. So the South Carolina rain game, it's 3-1. I mean, we got the best offense in the world, but he sat there for 2 hours, and I'm going, like, this is probably going to hurt us in this game. But to have an opportunity to have him only throw 48 pitches almost was like a week off, and that he might benefit from that. The SEC tournament, I would never take that guy out with the bases loaded, ever. But it was like at 33 pitches in an inning. I'm not going to allow him to put himself in jeopardy for the NCAA tournament, so we took him out at 70, some pitches, if I remember correctly. So we just tried to take the small wins when we could get them. If we had a big lead, yeah, you could go back out for the 7th, but we're good at 90. So I remember just trying to work through some of that, and it allowed him, to really go for it there at the end, and even in the finals, like, he really wanted to pitch the 9th inning, and I was like, there's no way, like, I'm not doing that, like.
Did he ever say, "My arm's a little sore today"?
Never, not one time, not one time. I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, we had a very specific, we've already been through it, but there was a very specific way we would use them, but I would like to think, future pitchers would look at how we handled that situation and go, like, I'm comfortable putting my career in those guys' hands.
Do you think we'll ever see that pitch location software that we see in MLB broadcast in college baseball?
The SEC would be the only place, yeah. Yeah.
Is that expensive to implement?
I don't even know, yeah. I don't even know.
Does that cause problem with
I don't know. And we have some good ones in the league, and we have some good ones in the league.
Do you have any idea how the SEC is going to change their schedule next year with Texas and
Yeah,
Oklahoma?
I got it. I could probably rattle off most of what we have. It's very random. We're going to play Mississippi State and A&M every year. So it'll be Mississippi State at home and at A&M. I know we go to Texas and Oklahoma next year. I know we have Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri at home. We go to Auburn and South Carolina. So I think that's almost 10. Alabama's at home. So that's who we have next year. And then it's like a few will rotate off and a few will rotate back on. Sometimes you don't play somebody for 2 years and then you play them 3 years in a row, and then there's people you're playing every other year. It's it's a 13-year rotation. So, yeah.
I heard you on the radio show talking about
football.
the
Yeah.
school being over, it kind of being a reset time for the guys to just focus
Yeah.
on baseball. Is that true?
I felt last Tuesday's game, like, I walked into the meeting room before the game and was like, okay, like, this is going to be tough tonight. Like, I could just kind of see it in their faces, like, papers, exams, all of that. And we got through that. And then we actually left on Wednesday so they could get some rest. And then Thursday at practice, I thought they had a ton of energy, and you could see, like, it's like a weight lifted off their back. And so I like being a semester school as opposed to a quarter school. So, I mean, Stanford's taken finals in Omaha last year. I mean, like, that seems like the worst thing ever. So I think it helps. I definitely think it helps.
Obviously, the season isn't over, but we have a pretty decent sample size with some of the younger guys who aren't draft eligible and able to come back to next year's team. I guess which of those guys, which of those performances have maybe not just stood out to you, but maybe have, like, pleasantly surprised you and maybe changed the way you're looking at building the team for next year?
Probably a better question at the end,
Okay.
because I think, and I respect the question very much. and I'm the one person in the program that has to look at now and look at going forward. The guys that are playing are doing a great job. I think the improvements that Milam has made over the course of the SEC schedule are remarkable. Like, I really like, he batted fifth the other day. Like, I really like seeing him come up to the plate now. His defense has been really good. He turns a double play as good as anybody I've ever had. Larson is taking really mature at bats. Like, almost when he doesn't come through, like the other day, it's almost a surprise to me. And that's a really good, thought to have about a player. I think Kate Anderson's going to be great. So those three probably have had the most time. Jake Brown, I really like Jake Brown. I think we're a couple swing adjustments away from him being really, really good. And I'm excited, me personally, to like dive into that with him and make him a great player here. So I think there's some real positives. We have work to do to have the type of team we want to have next year, but that's kind of a, hopefully a week or 2 to 3 weeks down the road,
I need to start wrapping up with Jay. Michael's here. Anything else for Jay?
Has the results affected recruiting at all?
I don't think so. I mean, until somebody wins the national championship, we're still the national champions, and we still have 12,000 fans show up at a game. I think Paul was my 29th major league player. So win, develop, environment. I mean, it's all still here. And again, like, this is not where we want to be. We've won 33 games. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are given unbelievable effort. You know what I mean? I really believe we're one of the 15 best teams in college baseball. We've played all of the other ones. And if you're outside the league, you don't have that same experience. And it's still important baseball this weekend. So, and if it did, I wouldn't let it be an excuse. It's our job to put the pieces in order to make sure we recruit, develop, and win at the level we all want to. And we're going to keep doing that.
Jay, who's like since you've been here, who's like the biggest one or two guys you lost to the portal that you really didn't want to lose?
I can only think of one. Yeah, I can only think of one, and he's playing in the league right now. I think, and it just didn't. It was almost like positionally it didn't line up for him here in his mind. Not in my mind. In his mind, it didn't line up. Other than that, I think we've been pretty successful. Well, actually, there's actually two, but one of them we lost because we were playing for the national championship, and he visited the school while we were on the field in Omaha playing for the national championship and committed before his scheduled visit. So I'll trade one player for one season for a national title any day of the week.
Who are those two? If you don't mind?
I can't. I don't want to go there. Yeah, we might still play him.
Tell me the first one.
Yeah, no, I can't. We might still play him next week. So, yeah. So.
This is Jay Johnson.
Yeah, no, it's. Yeah. I respect the question, but I don't want to talk about our players. All right, thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Coach.